took a very liberal route to conservatism. And I just, I was constantly in trouble. I was always a very smart person. I did well in school. But there was an upset. I felt like the world owed me something because so much of my life seemed unfair. Like the parents that I had, it was unfair. The money that I didn't have, that was unfair. I had an education system that was telling me it was because the world is fundamentally unfair, and the system of capitalism in America and white Republicans is making it unfair. And I just had a chip on my shoulder through much of my life, and I found liberalism as to be a home for that, because liberal perspective sort of welcomes the idea that we shouldn't have to be responsible because the world is just corrupt and backwards. So why should we have to be decent people? It sort of allows you to absolve all responsibility, all self-responsibility. And I wasn't like, I was, partying, but not more than anybody else was. I was a bad person. I don't know how to say it. I just was a really bad person, a person that I'm not proud of. And I didn't treat people well. I wasn't true to my word. And I was mean. And that meanness came from an anger, a deep-seated anger. And then what happened that sort of changed that around was, first off, I got snapped.
Okay. Because she's about to give her conversion from the person that she just said right there. The mean, the angry, the entitled, the vindictive, all that stuff like that. And everybody in the chat is saying the same thing that we're saying, like, ma'am, what? This could have been recorded yesterday, ma'am. The only thing that's changed is the calendar. Nothing has changed. Not a thing. So I want you to hear how she, quote unquote, changed from this person that she is. Now, remember, she is married at this point. So she was allegedly a Christian. She married a Catholic, and she's being discipled by a Catholic at this point. And I'm in the chat, please, if you hear any references to anything sounding like a conversion story, I don't even care if you say she asked Jesus into her heart and prayed the sinner's prayer. If you hear anything like that, please make sure you put it in the chat. Okay. We're not going to do the Blues Clues. I'm not going to insult you, but I think somebody, y'all are the best. Okay. Give her an Oscar. She played her part well. Shout out to Deb. I agree. I do think that she's been playing this role. When we go back and look at the Dave Rubin interview, I think you're going to realize we got played. I'm sorry. We got played. Shout out. That might be the name of this video. We got played.
Back with reality when I left college without a degree, and because my student loans got declined going into my senior year, but I had over $100,000 in student loan debt.
Oh my!
Oh yeah, let me put a bouncy out here real quick. If anybody can find where Candace actually got her alleged degrees from, because she says that she has 2 college degrees now. She tells a story that she has 2 of them. She told Piers Morgan that she has 2 degrees. I would love for you, if you can find out where she actually got those 2 degrees from. And all I want is where she got the degrees from. You don't have to tell me that she didn't get the degrees, because I don't believe she actually got degrees. But I have searched high and I have searched low. I've searched to the east as well as to the west, and I've not been able to find that Candace Owens has a degree. But I'm just putting it out there.
Hey.
And we didn't have Bernie saying he was going to wave a magic wand and get rid of it.
Right.
So I hit the ground running, and my instinct to work was always there. My grandfather just raised us we just always worked. It's an Owens quality, as my granddad says. And I hit the ground running in New York City. And
in New York City, 100 grand, brutal.
Sleeping on friends' couches. I mean, I was, not doing well. Babysitting here, and then I had sort of a big break in that I just started interviewing for jobs as an assistant at private equity firms, because I heard that you could start out making $50K, if you just were an assistant. And I was like, I can do this. I know I don't have a degree. And I got hired on the spot at this firm. And it really changed things for me, because I just saw how much my employers had. And there was just an interest for me always in terms of wanting to make money, wanting to
This is another tendency, and this is something about Candace that I've noticed. In the chat, if you all remember that video where she talked about when she was a child, she went to a little blonde hair, blue-eyed girl's house, and she realized how much stuff they had, and she was offended by the fact that these people live like that. And she was like 5, she said 5 or 6. In the chat, do y'all remember that? Just, I remember, or something like that. Put a kid emoji in the chat if you remember. And it's just funny. You hear the same story being told over and over and over again. Somebody has something that she doesn't have and she's offended. It's almost like a trope, kind of like the movie tropes, if you will. The old detective gets called back to do one more job. The old hitman comes back to do one more job, or kind of stuff. It's like a trope. Like her trope is she sees something, she doesn't have it, she's offended, she has to get it. It's almost like a trope. I don't know. I don't know another way to describe it, but that it's just a tried and true, played out trope. What? But let her continue, Jason. Let her go.
Have and not just wanting to figure out how I could be wealthy, how I could pay off my student loans, how I could have something, and I just worked my butt off. And then the big thing that happened was my grandmother died, and it completely changed me because she was really.
I think this really broke her. This story right here really broke Candace. I know she had already sued the school district. She was already a mean girl. She was already, all that stuff was already in play. But this story right here, I'm sorry, this story right here, I almost feel bad for her. That's how bad this story is. I can only imagine. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I could imagine this story probably did the 1-2 punch on her, because it's pretty sad to hear, to think about it. Because this is the wife of her granddad, and her granddad and grandma. I'm sure grandma played a big role in her maturation, and she always elevates granddad, which is cool. Shout out to granddad. She elevates granddad. You don't hear much about grandmom, but I'm pretty sure she was integral in her life, even if she didn't mention her, right? So we totally get that part. But watch this story, y'all.
Really the only maternal figure that I had. My grandmother, deeply, deeply faithful. And the last thing she said to me, we were not expecting her to die. She was hospitalized for what was supposed to be 48 hours. She just said, I worry about you. I worry about you in New York City. And, I worry about the person that you're becoming.
Wow.
And I said to her, because I was being flashy, I have this expensive bag, and I thought she would think that it was all cool, and she just thought none of it was cool. And I think
our grandparents were not
into it. She wasn't into my Stella McCartney bag.
Yeah.
And it was her last word she ever spoke to me, and then she died. And it took a lot out of me. I still mourn my grandmother's death. It was just it rocked my family, because she was the rock. Yeah.
That broke her. That rock broke her. She looked. I had to say it. I'm not dunking on Candace about her grandparents at all, because I feel like, dang, that probably messed her up. But she was already pretty jacked up before, but that probably solidified her messed upness, if you will. Her grandma, grandma said, I ain't about that life. I don't care nothing about that. And that's the last thing she said to her. Ay. That's the last words you heard from this maternal figure, this rock in your life, is, I'm worried about who you're becoming. Woo! That probably grandma saw some stuff. Grandma probably saw the truth. Grandma probably knew. Yeah, our grandparents know, just like we're starting to realize that our moms and dads knew. As we've become moms and dads, we realize, mom and dad did know something. And one day, by God's grace, you'll become grandparents, and we'll be like, yo, we know a whole lot more than we did when we were young whippersnappers. But I think this really broke Candace. Shout out to the best live channel on the internet. Let's go.
And then I wanted to make her proud, Yeah, so I just
still emotional.
I do. Yeah, I really do. Grandparents have been just incredible people. So I just sort of dedicated myself to just being a better person, whatever I thought that was, what would make my grandparents proud, what makes my granddad proud. And I changed. And I started really getting serious about, not going out as much, not partying, really dedicating myself to getting myself out of debt, and understanding the people that they were in context of politics was they were deeply conservative. They wouldn't say that. My grandmother didn't care about politics, but they were deeply conservative.
So were they Republicans or conservative?
Apolitical, but they were conservative.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, apolitical. They were not Democrats or Republicans.
Aren't most blacks
conservative?
Conservative.
Right.
They just don't vote that way.
We just don't know it. No one turns the lights on. and says everything about the way you were raised is actually conservative.
How do you miss that though? I mean, it's
right.
It's so clear.
Right. Yeah. It's funny that you asked that, because I've thought deeply about this, obviously. And it's so, what the left has done, you have to give them credit for just how brilliant they have.
So she is now transitioned, according to her, to becoming a conservative. Now, she doesn't talk about, degree 180 or social autopsy, anything of that nature. So she kind of skipped that, because to me, those things are much more indicative of who she is and quote unquote her transformation, and whether or not what grandma said actually stuck than anything else. But she kind of skips over that. And I noticed she skips it in the other interview we're going to look at as well. But so now she's transitioning to becoming a conservative. How does she deal with her meanness? Does that mean conservatives aren't mean? Does it mean conservatives are not vindictive or anything of that nature? Like, when did you actually, when was your heart changed, Candace? And I think we allowed her to do this in our face. This video is not hidden. It's right there on the interweb. And we did not look and do our own due diligence to say, hey, yo, this woman isn't a convert. Now watch this. That's why I believe she had the falling out with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk realized that he hired her on, and she herself and her ideas were not converted. She wasn't a Christian. I don't think you had to be a Christian to work at TPUSA, but some of the stuff that she's talking about makes it very clear that she wasn't a Christian. Dare I say, even in the opposite direction, at odds with Christianity. Let's let this, I'm gonna let this tease out about 3 more minutes, give or take.
And they've executed a royal flush on Black America. And what they did was, we started in the 60s, obviously, with Lyndon Baines Johnson, the Great Society Act, the breakdown of the family, marrying Black America to the government. Don't marry your baby daddy, marry the government. We're going to give you more money. Don't, if there's no man in the household, everything starts there. When you remove the bedrock of the family, there's still an instinct to pursue paternity and maternity elsewhere. Yeah. So where did the kids get that maternity and paternity? The streets. The kids race to the streets. They culture. Why do you think the left has invested so much time in having a stranglehold on culture? And this is why culture is so important. And this is what conservatives, Republicans missed, right? How important culture is.
And I said, I will keep saying this, and I'll never stop saying it. It's not culture. It's the one question: who is God? Religion supersedes culture. Your religion drives your culture. If you go to a Muslim country, their culture looks very much like their religion. If you go to a Buddhist country, their culture looks very similar to their religion. Why do we pretend like our faith system and our culture are at odds with one another? No, they're absolutely right up under one. Culture comes from what you believe. And who is God is the most simplest question to answer. From there, everything else starts to line up. I know you liked that episode. This is actually a clip from a larger live stream. The link is down in the description, so you can go check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down there. Grace and peace.